And hello, everyone. Wave meteorologist Brian Good on this day after all the wild storms we've had in the area. Welcome to Storm Talk, which today is going to be a look back at what happened yesterday and some of the radar loops and where we stand on some of the damage reports and surveys, which are still, of course, ongoing. And even if you have some of the stories that you went through or your family went through, you want to share, by all means, you can do so by typing those into the chat on Twitter, Facebook, and on YouTube. And we will see those. Just may not be as fast as we would like it to be, but certainly type in there your thoughts and what experiences you had. If you know of anyone that needs help or anything like that. This is a community effort. This is a community discussion that we always like to have with you guys whenever we do the blog. So this is a great time to do just that. Okay, so let me give it a moment for everyone to get into the chat because the alerts just went out on for the app to get everyone notified to get into the area. Kathy, good afternoon. Hello to you. We were seeing Kathy. Tornadoes missed this into the county, but got hit there by, of course, Milton, Kentucky. You're exactly right. It's the Ghostly. I think I got your name right there. Went to the basement last night. The rotation looked bad, but then it lost, of course, its strength, which is always good when that happens, right? Ashley, I was wondering about you yesterday. I can't thank Swan for checking on me. I saw her that she was able to check on you. I know she was said that she was reaching out, and y'all were going back and forth after that. I think what was it, the upgrade to Slight, if I remember right, when you guys were able to talk. We got the tornado warning within 12 or 11:30, and within 30 minutes she was checking up on me. So it's one that's very sweet. So I'm glad she was able to do that. And it was one of those setups too that again we have to deal with. Ever-changing elements to the severe weather setup from morning all the way to night. So you go through one event, it seems pretty rough, and you get a long break and you're back at it again during the overnight hours. Good morning to Laura. I hope you're doing all right. Hope, great coverage last night. Thank you. Appreciate it. You can tell we're all half awake for today. Thank goodness that Weekend 4 got into Bardstown, right? And then Olivia made it home to Louisville just for the rain start last night and some wicked lightning for sure. Dallas, I'm glad Louisville Metro got spared the brunt of the storms, but I'm the hunt for all those affected. But I'm hurt for all those affected just in our area and parts of Indiana and some other states as well. This was a multi-state event. You're right, Dallas. This impacted a lot of people last night. And the way that it evolved, as you'll see in the radar loop, is what made it more complex. It wasn't just a typical line of storms yesterday that came through. We had a supercell type setup for a while. Then we ended up with lines of cells and storms that kind of collided together. And that certainly made things a bit messy on the radar. Okay, I think I got most everyone is signed on. So let's get into it. Let's start with the radar view. I'm going to do all this full screen. This is the radar loop from yesterday. And there's that supercell. And I'll let this loop a couple times. This is going as slow as I can take it. Here we are, 4 in the afternoon, 5 in the afternoon, still quiet. We're 82 degrees, tying a record high in Louisville. Then we get to about 8 or 9 o'clock. Then the second round of cells started to form on the radar. And you see, as they were forming, there are new cells developing in advance of it, right over Cordon and Louisville. Those developed, and then the two lines basically just merged together right over the core of wave country. Modeling did a really good job, by the way, of hinting that that was going to be the case. during the overnight hours, going to be this collision of two different boundaries. But again, looping it through, and you can see that one lone supercell, the tail end Charlie. Then we had the long quiet period. And then here we go with the cells that were producing so much damage. Very large hail, too, back to the northwest of us. And then we end up seeing, of course, the aftermath there around 9 to 10 o'clock. That's when things really let up, because it looked like that main line would take until midnight to get here. But the storms in advance of it popped, and that changed the time frame just a bit. After about midnight, though, everything really calmed down fairly quick as well. Let me add on the warnings now. Along with this, you'll be able to see how the warnings were issued. Again, the ones with the supercell go fairly quick, but those tornado warnings are popping fast on that cell all the way to northeast Kentucky. Then you'll be able to see all the warnings getting issued back into Illinois, 7 to 8 o'clock last night. You can see everything begins to light up. Several warnings. Just about every single thing that was popping on the radar was getting a warning, right? The yellow are severe thunderstorm. The red are tornado warnings. You can see it really just became a mess right over Louisville and central Kentucky in the 11 to 12 o'clock hour. And by the time we got to about 1 a.m., very few, if any, warnings were being issued. I'll show you that without the radar. There's the Madison area into Carrollton. And again, severe thunderstorm warning, tornado warning, severe thunderstorm warning. Went back and forth for a while, right? Then quiet. And then here we go with the warnings that were coming in from Illinois and Indiana. And again, several. I don't have an official count yet. I've got to get the numbers on that. But just about everywhere up and down the line, the warnings were popping all along those cells. You can certainly say where it just became a real big conglomerate there, even into the city of Louisville around the midnight hour. Damage reports. Obviously, we know what happened there into Indiana. But even after that passed by, and there's that tornado confirmed in Madison that got reported. After we got past the first round, the next round, you'll note that it was a lot of hail reports more than anything really lit up. Some wind reports, they're going to be wrong, but you'll see a lot of the little hailstones light up there based on the reports that relayed to the National Weather Service. You see those just kind of fill in the gaps all over the place. One there. I mean, it's just all over mid to late evening. It's interesting to go back and do this sometimes, to look back and see how it all evolved, because each severe weather event has a storyline to it. There are some things we can learn from that too, as meteorologists. Okay, all right, was that enough warning? Did they, is there anything we could have done extra? Could we done something a little faster? Could we communicated a certain element a little differently? All that gets evaluated in this process post-storm. Everyone's different. Every setup is different. But you have to look back and try to get at least an idea and gauge how it went to learn how to just be better at the next one around. I'm glad no one was seriously hurt. That's the good news. But obviously, the amount of damage, even from hail, is going to be something that's going to take some time for our friends and families here in our communities to get recovered from. All right. So what's next? Well, today it's all about surveys. There's 3 different areas the Weather Service is surveying. They are actually right now into Hanover, Indiana. They are surveying what they've already determined was an EF2 for at least part of the damage path into the Milton, Kentucky area. I'll show you that in a second. They're also going to be surveying, though, across Breckenridge County into the very small northwest side of Hardin County, and then also right there in southern portions of Meade County into right around the Radcliffe and western side of Bullitt County. That'll also be surveyed. I'm not sure what time that will be surveyed, but it'll be very close to the same spot. So they have a lot of teams that are out. I just don't know where they're all placed. And as soon as they report back in, we have a system that connects to with their surveying equipment. So as they survey, we're able to get notified fairly quick on the status of what they found. Remember, tornadoes don't always, that we don't have the rating scale, the EF0, EF2, EF3. That's not by what it looks like. I saw that on comments a lot yesterday. That looks like an EF2. That looks like an EF3. Look at the shape of that. That's not how the EF scale works. It's not based on what it looks like. The EF scale is based on damage, what it did as far as how did it bend the trees? How did it take a 2x4 and throw it in a certain direction? And if threw it into the ground, how far in the ground did it throw it? It's all about the damage. That determines the EF scale rating. So it's the aftermath portion. We get the official titles and numbers of each one of the systems that came through, not by the look. You can't go by that. So I know there were some that are already ready to label it, but again, the Weather Service, that's what they're trained for. They have When if you go to any type of meteorology school, you go through this as part of your course training, and a lot of interns take part in going out. I'm sure there's a lot of interns out today, the Weather Service, and there's a lot of media out there as well, because we could all learn something each time we have an event like this pass through wave country. Okay, so let me show you the one for Madison, Milton area. Again, this is from the trend that we had around, I think it was 1:30 in the afternoon. I was sitting with Ryan Hoke. We had one small cell that was sitting there on I-65 in Scott County. It had some rotation at that time. What really made the determination for us, like this is something that we need to watch, is we looked up the traffic camera that was on I-65 near Scottsburg, and we were able to do that. The bases were low, certainly lower than 1,000 feet. And looking at that and the rotation at the same time, dew points were high enough. We looked at each other like, okay, this is not good. We got our equipment ready, our mics were put on, and we got into the studio. And by the time we basically got into the studio, we were right there, ready to go for a warning. The warning came out within, I would say, 30 seconds. The tornado warning was issued, and we were able to jump on the air quickly. You got to identify those kind of signs, and that takes everyone staring at the radar. No one wants to stare at the radar 24/7. I get it. But that radar is a great tool when it happens. And that's the starting point that we think that it at least started to rotate. I don't think there's been any damage in Scott County that I'm aware of. But as it moved over into Milton, Kentucky, sort of grazed right there into near Madison on the edge there in Hanover, and then drifted into parts of Switzerland County and Carroll County. A lot of hail with this. You guys sent in a tremendous amount of hail reports. Thank you. That larger the hail, usually, not always, but usually there's a decent relationship about the, check my phone. Okay, Twan's telling me to check my phone. Okay. Thank you, Twan. Appreciate that. EF1 is what they have found in Hanover, Indiana. Twan just sent that to me saying, so they just sent back on that communication setup that we have with them. So EF1 in Hanover. I'm not sure, though, if that's a separate tornado than the EF2 that was in Milton, or if it was one that touched down, went back up, and then the touchdown with a different rating. I'm going to assume it's going to be two different ones based on what we saw on the velocity that during those moments, because we saw it recycle a couple times. So two different tornadoes would make sense, but we'll get that confirmed for you guys. But at least EF1 and EF2. EF2 Milton and EF1 will be for Hanover. Again, you just heard that. That just came down about 30 seconds ago. Okay, so what was unique about this, you guys have seen the video of how it tracks basically along the Ohio River. A lot of people are asking, does that make it a water spout? I'm not sure if there was really a definition. I think it's duration of how long it has to be on water and or its originating point to get that classification. We don't see this very often for the Ohio River, so everyone's kind of racking their brains like, wow, this is kind of unusual, because many people believe the Ohio River is a deterrent of tornadoes, and that's why we never see it. Well, we now know that it does happen. So we can take that theory and throw it away. But it was very close to the Ohio River for a majority of the time. Once it got into the top portion there of Trimble County and southern Jefferson County, it was mainly on the Ohio much of the time, but it was, again, circulating. So when it forms, a tornado is not always just one column of rising air. It, in many cases, and if you guys have seen the old movie, not the new one coming out, but the old movie of Twister, that was some of the theory even they were discussing about the multiple vortices, where there's multiple tornadoes that are inside of one of the triangles that you see visually to the human eye. There's actually a lot more going on within a tornado, and that causes the damage to get scattered about in different directions. And the Weather Service is great about picking up those patterns like that. So that's why there may be additional ratings and additional tornadoes that are found along that path. All right, so that's where we stand. So at least right now, EF1 and EF2 reports of damage found. Hanover is EF1 damage, EF2 Milton, Kentucky. Again, I cannot say for sure that it's two separate tornadoes yet. We'll know that later today and pass it along. Okay, enough of that talk. Let's hope we don't have to deal with that again anytime soon, right? And that was just a slight risk day. And even for those of you in the northeast side of Louisville, you're right on the edge of the slight and the marginal risk. So you really get the sense that sometimes these elevated outlooks that are out from the Storm Prediction Center, a moderate or high risk day, doesn't always mean you can avoid some dangerous weather. Even a low wind risk day can be bad. So that's why we got to pay attention to any potential. Okay, that's my rant. Bardstown, you're looking good. Cloudy outside. That will be the case for today. We've got 59 now, 46 in Seymour. Why do I point that out? Well, can you guess why I am pointing that out? Our airflow is shifting from the northwest today. So those 59s and 61s are about to leave us and head on out. You see the band of showers that is going to do just that. It's going to be dropping in this afternoon. So expect light rain to develop this afternoon. It's going to be a rainy setup this afternoon, actually around lunch today into the afternoon. Areas of showers, no thunderstorms. All right, just area of showers will be passing through, but it will be a falling temperature scenario. We should be falling into the lower 50s as we evolve into the afternoon. Saturday and Sunday, I know we St. Patrick's Day on Sunday. So overall, both of those days look quiet. No extremes on temperatures, whether it's up or down. Just okay, just quiet. We need that. We get into next week. We still have the big drop for Monday. Still can't rule out some sprinkles or flurries that can develop. It's certainly possible. I just don't see it being anything overly significant at all. But there will be a cold wind chills in the 20s. Perhaps some spots could dip into the teens Tuesday morning for wind chills. Ooh, that's not fun. So winter trying to fight back there. I hope we don't get too cold because we have so many pretty blooms outside and we don't want those ruined, but this one's going to be a test. After it lifts out, we do have another system that will try to move in later next week. It will likely roll in under the cold blast of air, so it should be a rain event as we head toward next Friday into next weekend. We're stuck in the weekend ruts here, guys, of these systems being timed out. Right now, I don't see anything extreme on the severe side. It's still too early. Still too early. But rain and maybe some thunder, but rain is a sure bet on this one as it moves on by. And after it passes by the area, we may have another one that may feature another strong thunderstorm potential. This is the one that I mentioned in the blog about 2 weeks ago. That was a decent signal passing through in late March that we'll need to watch. This is it. So all the parameters on this one do scream severe potential with it, especially in the plains. But I think we need to watch it for us. The timing on that, if it were to hold, will be about midweek of the 25th. Midweek of the 25th. So about 27th, 28th, something like that. That's early guess, though. Early guess on that idea. All right, the eclipse. Real quick, want to switch gears on that. Don't forget the Great American Eclipse, just 24 days away. I'm actually heading, so I got this on now. I'm heading out to one of the spots. We're going to be checking out some of the locations we're going to be set up at for the eclipse on April the 8th. It'll be a Monday after spring break. So everyone plan accordingly. One of the bigger issues is obviously the weather. In fact, if it's not the biggest issue, and looking at what normally we see for the April 8th window on cloud cover, again, it's tough. You see the lighter shade of the beige. That usually is roughly about a 50% cloud cover risk. You get into the orange shade, that's crossing up to about 70 to 75% potential cloud cover. Where you see where the path of totality, especially in Indianapolis, all that orange is along the path of totality. So we're still a ways out. Yes, I am able to see data on April the 8th already. It's not the best because it's a very poor grid. In other words, I see April the 8th. I can only see two different time periods on the 8th itself, a morning and a late night. That's all I can see. It's just a snapshot, like someone stood there on the ground, took a snapshot, and every day they change their mind. They have a different picture they send me, basically. It's how the model works. So that's not enough. That's not enough. And it's certainly no one, as far as the model, is not taking a picture of the time period that I needed to take a picture of, the time of the actual eclipse. So there's a lot of low confidence still, not to be surprising. It's still 24 days away. But putting all the different photos I have seen so far from the modeling of where we are at on least a stat of some type, I came up with 68% being cloudy. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to update this percentage on the blog every day, starting today, but starting next week. Every day on the blog, I will update this percentage and let you know where we stand. And as we get even closer, we'll be able to not just do cloud cover percentage, then we'll be able to break up temperature and any rain chance. It'll get more specific in time, but at least want to give you guys a little bit of some data points to work with there. All right, that's all I got today. It's been a lot going on the last 24 hours. You guys don't want to hear me talk. Any questions? Surveying. Let's see. Yep. Twister. Here comes cooler weather again. Whitney. Yeah, a lot of schools are closed for the eclipse. Not all of them, but most of them. I know that JCPS just was already in spring break. They just basically had like an in-service type day, whatever. That would be added on Monday because I mean it's 3:06 in the afternoon, and you're going to have school buses on the road at a time of totality or near totality. That isn't going to fly. I mean, it's too dangerous for bus drivers and too dangerous for the kids walking around to the bus stop and to and from with everyone trying to look up. Make sure you get glasses, guys. Can't stress that enough. Do not look at the sun. I'm telling you, it'll change your life forever and not in a good way. So don't do it. Let's see. Garbage cans are everywhere, Marty. Yeah, I know. They're blowing all over the place. Blowing all over the place. Ghost again. I have over on YouTube. A camp out for the weekend. This weekend, fine. There may be some drizzle on Sunday, but overall dry. The ground's going to be quite wet, though, so keep that in mind. It will be quite wet. And Weathergy, thanks for the coverage. Great team. Everyone did great here, trying to stay on top of it. And, Kevin and Ryan were on all night, it seemed like. So it's just a very long day, especially in the big gaps in between the two super weather events that took place. But that's what we're here for. All right. So next up will be the eclipse coverage. Obviously, we'll be working on that as we have the next few weeks. And on that, I'm going to go because I got things to get taken care of. Carson Meredith will be on midday today, coming up at 11 a.m. All right. So we'll see you then, guys. Take care. And if I don't see you before, I'll see you on Monday.